I am from Simpsonville, South Carolina. I am a counseling student at Clemson, so I'm doing my master's right now. I want to work with adults with special needs and older populations. And then someday I'd like to open my own practice actually where I can have like a studio for clients to create, but they can also be receiving like counseling services and stuff like that. But that's long, long term. I was majoring in art and psychology at Berry, and I had to take a printmaking course for my major. Didn't want to do it, wasn't happy about it. Didn't really like all the other forms of printmaking we did, like screen print and lithography and stuff like that. But then we did relief print, and I really just fell in love with the process of it. And printmaking is unique because everything you do is reversed on the block. So you kind of learn to think in mirror images, and your phone's a really helpful tool with the apps that will mirror things. So first you start with your block. I use linoleum, which is basically an easier way to do wood carving. A lot of people are more familiar with wood carving than they are linoleum, but it's basically making a large stamp. So I have these little knives that I carve into linoleum with, and once I get my image in, everything I carve away stays white and the upper part is colored. So this gets a really high contrast, really clean lines that I really enjoy with print media. And once you're done with that, you just ink it up like you would basically like painting the surface with a paint roller is kind of a simple way that most people are familiar with. And then you lay the paper on top. And relief printmaking is all done with pressure. So I use the palm of my hand right here, and I just push the paper across the surface. So a lot of people use a press, which is like a big rolling pin. I'm a very low budget operation, so I don't have one of those yet. But so I just use my hand or a wooden spoon, and you just simply stamp it onto the paper. I use it a lot of stress relief for me personally, but I really get inspired by just the people around me, like the clients I work with in my classes or my friends and family, and just seeing like what they're going through and these moments that they capture through things that they see and kind of trying to tie that together and make it something tangible for them to have and to share with others. I think is where I get a lot of my inspiration from, and that's who I create for. I really used to enjoy drawing like buildings and stuff like that. So I wanted to transfer that to printmaking when I first started, and it just didn't translate. I wasn't technically skilled enough for it. I wanted everything to be very detailed and 3D, when in printmaking it's usually very flat, just by the nature of the medium. So I did a lot of that for a while. And then I would research prints, and I would see that like the history of printmaking is very tied up in flowers and landscapes and nature and stuff like that. So I started, I hate to say copying, but copying some master works that I had found just to practice and kind of learn their techniques. I studied the German Impressionists a lot. I was really caught up in that for a while, but their prints are very morbid almost and emotionally dark, and I really didn't want to get into that too much in my work because I think art should be, I think sometimes art needs to be happy and loose and light. Um, So I started doing that, and then I really got caught up in kind of trying to capture these images and these spaces. So I did a series with greenhouses for a while and really interested in like house plants and stuff like that. And then I got really into chlorography, which is how we use flowers to communicate. It's like old Victorian stuff. So I got really tied up in that for a while. And now I'm just kind of trying to sort through all these ideas and experiences that I gathered over the past year and trying to decide where to go with my work from there. So the watercolor is something I've been doing pretty new to me, I guess I would say. So I go through after the print has dried, and then I layer on top of it with watercolor. I always say like I make my own coloring sheets, kind of is what I'm doing. Um, but it's interesting because it allows this new layer of like color and pigment to come through. Ink tends to be very flat when it dries, so is where I kind of started with the watercolors. I wanted these flowers especially to be very bright and pop. And it's an interesting juxtaposition between like the starkness and the contrast of the relief print with watercolor, which is a very delicate medium. I really love carving the blocks. which is used to make the finished product, so no one ever really gets to see the blocks. But I think they're really beautiful. It's like almost a sculpture kind of, and it's just so neat to me that this one thing can produce so many other pieces of art. This piece was the first piece that I really felt like I captured what I was trying to say with the space and with the image. And I got to show it at my college in my senior show, which was really exciting. And it was the first like big piece of art that I had sold to like an actual person that wasn't a family member. So that was really exciting for me. I feel very new to all of this still, especially to being considered like a creative and an artist. And it's really exciting at this point in my life while I'm pursuing other things that I get to pursue art too and kind of grow in that field. I never saw myself taking it past college, but I'm glad that I get the opportunity to. And I'm excited to see how it kind of keeps opening up for me. Hello, my name is Lauren Evans. I'm from Studio 37 Prints, and you can find more of my work at studio37prints.com.